Hello and welcome back to another Bad Movie Reviews review hosted by your two most reputable journalists, or critics. We'll go with it.
Actually, kind of works.
We'll
in
go
this
with
case.
it. Critics. Yeah, exactly. Well, it does work, and I'll go with it. But we are reviewing a film that I've been looking forward to for quite some time. This is actually on my most anticipated list. Can't remember where, but it is none other than Alex Garland Civil War. Now, if you're not familiar with Alex Garland's work, he's done Ex Machina, Annihilation, which is fantastic. He did Men, which wasn't so much, but this film, and look, I'll try and keep it as bare bones as possible when it comes to the story itself, but it's basically about a team of military embedded journalists who are covering basically an American Civil War that are, pretty much as they descend upon the White House, the president, but a somewhat obviously dystopian future of an America that we've not seen, or fingers crossed don't ever see. But look, I don't know where you want to start with this film. To be honest, I don't know if you want to.
For me, like the first thing that kind of really soaked in for myself, which obviously the movie shown the trailer, but obviously significant in the film, but the importance of journalism or the impact it has and the representation. But a lot of to do with that was the photography side is really kind of what this movie explored. And, the harsh realities of everything and getting
the desensitization, the emotion, like you almost,
so impactful. And for me, I was fully soaked into that actually a lot more than I thought I was, and that's probably because of my, a little bit more recent interest in photography, as you know. But like seeing certain shots where it goes from something that's quite impactful to like a silence. Like that use of that audio design there is a perfect representation of what I thought of like how photography works,
Yeah, there's a silence to it. You don't get the
You take a photo of people laughing and then it goes...
It's a still image.
It's silent. And the movie really like showed that. And a lot of the videography, the way it was shot, they used a lot of like well-known photography styles, I guess videography styles too, but like I think bokeh. So like that use of having like excessive blur in the background or foreground or having a combination between the two. You could, now that I've learned a little bit more about cameras, seeing like them use multiple apertures throughout an entire scene to really reflect that photography story, I thought was absolutely unreal. I was fully soaked into that and I was like, man, that is cool. And like I thought they delivered fantastically on the shooting side of things. I don't know if you want me to just keep on rambling on or if you want me to jump into like some of the...
I'll touch on a little bit of what you touched on. I thought they really utilised that perfectly. Obviously, it's a film that is about journalism.
Yeah.
But not only that, it's obviously got a lot to say about war, about obviously the journalism side of things that we touched on, but even obviously American politics. Like it is quite a... It is a very, very confronting movie, and it probably shouldn't have, but for some reason it did make me like emotional which I don't really know why, but it did genuinely. I was like, I mean, first of all, respect, like what you see in this film is very hard to watch at times, and like to, even if to experience a little bit of that, it would be absolutely horrifying to be on that front line. But I absolutely loved it.
Yeah.
First of all, the way they shot it, it is A24's biggest film. I think it's got a budget of 50 mil, which is funny. It's funny
when
that
we talk about films.
It's funny that you say that. Like it is very funny, but like they're obviously known for doing and distributing a lot of smaller niche films like Love Lies Bleeding, which we recently saw.
Well, look at Everything Everywhere All at Once at a small budget and look at the result.
But spot on. And I think this is the film that really they made use of it, like the scale, the obviously road trip side of things. But like, man, it was just hard to watch. Like, to be honest, like it is very confronting. But the performances I thought across the board were fantastic. You've obviously got Kirsten Dunst as the main as Lee, and she's always great. Her partner in crime in real life, Jesse Plemons, is in it for about 5 minutes, who was horrifyingly creepy. But as soon as you get Stephen Henderson, who plays Sammy in a film, you know you're going to get a good film because he's always fantastic. I thought Wagner Moura, I think is how you pronounce it, who played Joel, was also really good. It's the first time I've actually seen him in pretty much any major film. Like he plays Pablo Escobar in Narcos on Netflix.
Yeah.
But I also got to give a massive shout out to Kaylee Spaney or Spawney, I think is how you pronounce it, Jessie, who has kind of come onto the scene out of nowhere. She actually played Priscilla Presley in the Priscilla film that showed her.
I didn't see that.
Which I thought she was brilliant, but she is like genuinely fantastic in this. And then Alex Garland, I thought like obviously he wrote the film as well, but directed it exceptionally well. He obviously got the best out of his performers and actors in the movie for sure. But just the way, some of the shots, just the way. My favorite thing about the film, and it never really got old, and it did it quite a few times, was when you're in these warfare scenes, as you kind of touched on, the sound design is fantastic, and he utilizes, but there's not really much of a score. There's a couple of songs like soundtrack wise, but there's not really much of a score to it.
And it had a bit of a Last of Us score at times for me. I don't know, which is a weird comparison, but that kind of like
very folky, like acoustic guitar.
Yeah, acoustic guitar, but you're like, it's like a confronting moment.
Yeah. The thing that like when it switched from that, and then like either Jesse or Lee took a photo, and it cut to the black and white of the actual photo, and all the sound cut out, and you look at the images, and when I actually thought it was incredibly impactful, because when you're watching it moving, you're not like you're taking it in, but then when you look at the images and it stays there for a good maybe 2 seconds, and you look at what's happening, and you're just like, this kind of stuff is happening in real life, obviously as well, and that's the really hard thing to swallow and confront in that regard. But I thought that was just really impactful. And there's not really many films. There's obviously some films that I've seen in the past that obviously kind of tackle war journalism and that side of things. But this is probably one that's, I guess, on the big front. There's not really anything like it in terms of a big film that will have, a $50 million plus budget.
Yep.
And this cut, like it's watching it, it felt like a film that almost needed to be told and made, really. And that's not really that's one of the biggest compliments I can give about any art form. It's like it almost felt like it needed to be out there and exist. Do I think it's like my favorite film of the year? I don't know. It's one of those ones that it's like, I mean, probably not, but like it's one of those ones where like it really needs to almost soak in. It is quite impactful, quite full on. And it's definitely one that like I might revisit and sit with. But like I could not recommend it enough. I loved it.
Without going into like any spoiler territory, but there is like a couple of lines in this film when we're talking about impactful. Couple of lines in this film that were said by Kirsten Dunst. And I don't know, when she said them, I was like, it's something that I was just like soaking in for a while. It's something that like can be both used a positive and negative light. It's I don't know. There was just so many moments in there that were excellent. And we talked about as you said, you talked about the performances, which were great along the board. Some of the best stuff, again, which we always talk about, is the acting with silence. And some of the moments where they're not talking at all, and you can just see them like
even utilized in the photographs.
Experiencing it, yeah. It was unreal. And Jessie, what was her?
Kaylee Spaney, Jessie, yeah.
Loved her, and I loved watching
the progression of her character.
Character.
I knew exactly what you're going to say. There was a line, and this is probably what made me quite emotional. There was a line that she asked Lee's character early in the film, and it kind of like her whole character kind of came full circle. Everything that Lee was talking about and everything. Like I'm not going into detail of spoilers character. I'm sure you can probably think of the question.
Yeah, I know,
and then it kind of really hit me. I was like, well. Like fuck, like that's hard hitting.
It is. It's without going in. Yeah, man, there's just so much I want to say. And I'm worried about saying spoilers, but like watching a character progress and be able to both hear and visually see like a loss of innocence and the opening to the confronting reality of like the world
life and war. Yeah.
Oh man, that was just great. I was fully soaked into that.
Oh, it was so well written. Her character, like the film as well, is just very well written. But her character is an impeccable arc from start to finish. Like obviously that what's on the page is what starts that, but like her performance to realize that is nothing short of phenomenal, really.
Yep. And yeah, use of audio design, which you obviously touch on, was great. I loved how like beautifully loud and the weight. We always talk about the impact of sound, like as in like genuine, like the loudness of something, the overwhelming pressure of it. And I felt like they did that great with like helicopters and gunfire. You could hear the bullets like in the distance ricocheting off the ground.
When the jets flew over, I thought I was going deaf. Like they were loud.
It was beautiful.
Yeah.
That's one of my favorite things about Dunkirk was some of that like overwhelming audio. And I'm like, man, that was awesome.
I do recommend also seeing it in IMAX because I thought it utilized IMAX brilliantly.
Definitely,
like the
yeah.
IMAX cameras. Yep. There are some shots in the IMAX cameras as well, which like I kind of even sat there. I was like, oh fucking hell, like shit, like. It was just it's exactly. I think it did exactly what it wanted to do. It was impactful. It was brilliantly told. It was well acted. Like it's just a genuinely great movie. Couldn't recommend it enough to anyone.
Yeah,
to go see
I'm
it.
still soaking in it. I'm just thinking more and more like the photography stuff and the videography. Some of the shots when they were like, you know, just having general conversation. Sometimes it was like a high res camera, like having a view on their chat. And then it seemed to have like, sometimes it had like an overlying like film grain. And then sometimes it was like handheld and I could feel like they were using genuine journalism tactics to also film just like basic parts of the movie.
So there were certain
like
aspects of the film that felt like it was from a 60 Minutes episode. Like
a shot from different angles, different people, different perspectives. It was, it was good.
Yeah.
Oh, anyway, couldn't recommend it more. I agree.
Yeah. No, I 100% agree. If you have seen it, which not sure if you have, I'm not sure where it's out in the world, but comment below, let us know what you think. If you like our reviews, give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more of our reviews in the future.
Thanks, guys.